Howdy, it's Matt. Now, the question has been asked numerous times to myself before. Matt, will you own or will you put a RunCam Swift in your models? And that's the topic of this question, and that's what I'm going to be answering in this video. Now, if you didn't already know, we have, there's a photograph here, and there's a reason why I'm only showing you a photograph, because I don't own one, and equally, I will never own one either. And you'll find out the reasons why. There's 4 reasons why very shortly. Now, if you've not seen one of these before, basically you've got a HD camera built in with your FPV camera, you've got a flimsy lead which goes back to a board which gets really, really hot, and you have a very expensive device which is too fragile, which you can put into your quadcopter or your flying wing or whatever model you're flying, and record not only HD footage but also have your FPV camera in there, of course saving you a few grams. Now, you may have been and picked up some of my views in that last sentence, or in those last few sentences, but in short, the RunCam Split. Now, this device is £61, which I class is a very expensive device, and I'll give you the reason why I feel it's expensive for me personally in a few moments' time. It does suit some circumstances, so maybe you are a quad pilot, you have a favourite quadcopter. Maybe you've got really deep pockets and maybe have more money than sense, and you want to put one of these RunCam Splits in each of your quadcopters. Well, then that's happy days. You could do that, and it would save you certainly some grams. For example, comparing that to a RunCam 2, for example, and again you could use a RunCam 3, is that in short you would save some grams, because instead of having this and an FPV camera, is that you are going to save a few grams. But the reality is that, and I need to get to my points over here. So number one, it is just too expensive. Okay, I'm looking beyond my desk at the moment, and if I wanted a RunCam Split in each of my models, then I would be skint. I just couldn't afford to be able to do that. So it's too expensive for what it is for me as being a fixed wing pilot. For me, again, you may have noticed that I had a RunCam 2 there. The RunCam 2, for a price point of view, is far better from value for money, because I can take this off and I can put it on any model which I want, and for pretty much basically the same price I can put this one camera on as many models as I want to unvelcro it and then stick it on another one. With a RunCam Split, you are pretty much committed to having the processing board and the camera just being all built into the actual model itself, so it is just a one-hit wonder, or one model wonder, if that makes sense. So it's great if you want to save yourself a few grams, and we are only talking grams. We're not talking tens of grams, you know, like lots and lots of an epic weight saving. There is some weight to be saved, but again, you not worthy, okay, for the cost. So then my issue number one for a RunCam Split is just cost too much. Number 2 is that if you listen and watch the reviews by people who have been reviewed the RunCam Split, and I'm going to put 2 links in the video description for you. One is to 7 Demo 7, and the other one is to bonafidepirate. They both pick up this issue very, very quickly, which is the main board gets silly hot. Okay, now that is probably okay in inverted commas if you're using it in a quadcopter, but I'm a fixed wing pilot, so again, remember the question which we were asked was, Matt, will you ever use or own a RunCam Split? And that's my issue. No, I won't. The board gets too hot. I don't fly a quad where there's like unlimited ventilation. I fly foam models. Let me just grab one for a second. Is that, imagine there's a nice little foam model, is that if you put a RunCam Split processing board in there, inside there where there's limited airflow, like whereas compared to a quad, is that it's just not going to get the cooling which it requires, and it is, just putting that model down, it is going to overheat. And do I want 60 quid's worth of components getting too hot? And the answer is no, I don't, in short. And the other issue which I've got, so to summarise that one, fixed wing, it just doesn't excuse me, it just doesn't suit the kind of environment. Now, obviously, yeah, you may have a model which you want to go and do some medium or long range FPV on it. Every gram counts, and something like that could be a better use for you and your model and your situation, because let's face it, the RunCam 2 or even the RunCam 3 is not, it's about as aerodynamic as a small brick. So yeah, horses for courses. The other note is that it's just too fragile. There is no protection on this board. I'm sure you have all seen my flying and my abilities to clip trees, and just frankly don't care about the model or the camera or the kit which is in the model itself. Something like this is just too fragile. Too fragile. That cord on the back, you look closely to it, not particularly tough. It goes into a push fit board, which is on the opposite side of here, push fit connector. Any tugging on that, you're going to break it. My point is, it's just too fragile. It would be safer inside a quadcopter frame, but for a fixed wing pilot, which is my point of view, is that I will just never own one because they are too fragile. This RunCam 2 I have had for about a year now. You'll notice that it's missing its guard. It's got some grass on it. It's got mud on it. I've ran this thing in the ground too many times to remember, and it is still alive and it's still going. That one smack, nah. Don't think it would last me, to be honest. And yeah, my last note here, yeah, RunCam Splits, more suitable to, there's two applications, well, three applications. Number one, you've got more money than sense. Okay, so you're a quad pilot with ridiculous, or a fixed wing pilot with ridiculously deep pockets. That's not me. Number two is that if you are a quad pilot, okay, where you've got your favourite quadcopter, or your favourite multi-rotor, you want to save a few little grams here, and this could be a good solution for you. Again, in a quad frame, the main board would obviously get more cooling on there, and again, there's some issues around connecting it up. But anyway, if you're a quad pilot, happy days. And the other scenario where a RunCam Split would come into its own is that if you are a fixed wing pilot and you are trying to save every single gram possible for whatever reason. Okay, now that's typically in long range FPV. That's not me, in short. I'm the kind of guy which is going to stuff a wing in a tree and laugh his tits off it. So a RunCam Split for me is an utter point blank fail. Okay, it's just not up to the topic, or up to the job. So let's move that out of the way. So RunCam 2, as far as I'm RunCam Split, as far as I'm concerned, never will own one ever. Okay. However, the RunCam 2 is my HD camera of choice. I've got other cameras here. I've got GoPros, I've got Turnigy 2Ks, I've got a collection of SJ cams as well. But the one camera which has done absolutely fantastically well for HD footage on board an aircraft, which I can't include the camera which I'm using up there, because you can't really attach that to a model and expect it to survive. But yeah, for onboard HD camera footage, for me, it has to be the RunCam 2. I have planted this thing in the ground so many times before, and it's still alive. And the other thing which I like to say over the Mobius is that you have a replaceable battery. So for me, RunCam 2 all the way. And by the way, audio is terrible on it. You can't really use it for recording voices, but for just pure video footage, absolutely bloody fantastic. And that camera there is the reason why I will never own a RunCam Split. So with that said, for myself, Matt, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. If you have any questions for myself, in the video description underneath this video on YouTube, there's a link there. If you click on that link, you can ask your question. Obviously, if it perks my interest, then I will do a Q&A video just like this one. If you perhaps agree with me, or maybe you even disagree with me when it comes to the RunCam Split, please do let me know in the comments section underneath this video. I would love to hear your feedback. And on that note, from myself, Matt, thank you very much for spit my words out. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you again shortly. Cheerios!